You are listening to the Savage FINcast, episode 92, The Road to 250, an Erik Larsen FINterview.
Chicago. A criminal mastermind called Overlord held our city in his terrifying grip. Ordinary cops were losing the battle against Overlord's super freaks and mutants. Then, a miracle happened. When I found him, he had no memory of his past. I helped him find an identity and a life. Now we have a fighting chance. Now we have the Dragon.
This is the Savage FINcast, the show that knows to stay 6 feet away from anyone else. My name is Jim Purcell.
I'm Craig Olson.
I'm Raven Perez.
And welcome back to another episode of the Savage FINcast, where we talk about Erik Larsen's seminal book, Savage Dragon. We got a very special episode where, once again, we're going to be interviewing Erik Larsen, who has graced us with his presence. It's been a long time since we've had him on, too long really, and in these trying times, these uncertain times, we figure now would be a great time just to chew the fat, pick his brain, see what he thinks of this whole situation and the current status of Savage Dragon as a result. So,
without further ado, let's get going.
So once again, we're joined by Erik Larsen, creator of Savage Dragon. Friend of the show, comes on whenever we ask, really. We're really blessed. Hey, hi, Erik.
Hey.
Thanks for coming on.
Oh, absolutely.
Welcome back. It's been a year and a half.
Year and a half.
Yeah, we kept meaning to have
A lot
you.
has changed.
A lot has changed.
Yeah.
Suddenly you turned into a robot. I don't know what happened there, but...
It's this new healthcare. Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So awesome.
It's been crazy, though. I didn't realize until we started looking at it how long it had been since we last talked. We last talked when issue 239 dropped, and that was back in October 2018, and it was like, wow. I know we kept pushing it and saying, I want to hold off till right before 250, but I feel like with the slowdown of the industry, and there's still a lot to cover that we haven't talked to you about, especially the Marvel work and, the 6 or 7 issues we still haven't hit on in Savage Dragon. So here we are.
Yeah. All right.
So,
yeah, I don't even remember 237. Wait a minute. What happened there?
That was the first half of the City Under Siege two-parter.
Should I grab these issues? Should I have?
I wouldn't worry too much about it.
nah.
Yeah, we're not going to get
Yeah,
into
We're not like
nitty-gritty.
those other podcasts that grill you on the
Get my
minutia.
overalls. Sitting here. Got it all going on. Oh, man.
Don't worry, we're
That's
not going to
that's
quiz you. That's not the idea.
It is amazing how much shit I forget.
That's why you have the wiki.
You don't need to feel
It's like-
bad at all about that.
It's the most basic stuff. I'll be sitting there doing an issue, and then be like, "Oh, wait a minute! Oh, yeah, shit! I had him doing that. No, he doesn't even know about that. Yeah, God, it's frustrating."
He's wearing the patch on the wrong eye.
Well, I well, that happens too. I was just looking. There's what's her name with a fever has a mole over her lip,
Yeah.
and Frank Bosco was going. I forgot to put the mole over her lip. You add the. So I was like, I'll just add that digitally. And then I was like, well, what the hell, which side is that on? And I thought I knew. And then I went to the wiki, and I was like, oh, no, it's on the other side. And what I didn't know is that the wiki is actually flipped. So
Oh, no.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
on the wrong side in the wiki.
Oh.
When I look at the actual comics, it's on the. So It's like, oh, okay. I guess I better change it back now.
That's when you got to write a bullshit narrative explanation.
Well, the wiki's super helpful on all sorts of stuff where I'll be like, wait a minute, what is she that character last appear in? And what did they look like last time they showed up? Just to be able to make a list of, oh, that's 246, 248, and just be able to have that is like so helpful.
Yeah, even if there's not an image.
Really.
But even if there's not an image on the wiki, at least you can look up the book and grab the book.
Look up the issue.
Yeah, I don't know. After having 250 plus issues, like how like someone like Todd McFarlane, I guess he probably has a wiki for Spawn or someone made one. But how you go back and look through all that?
Three characters in the book. His is easy. I got the Spawn and I got the Violator, and then I'm sure there's another one. It's like, come on, man.
I am so glad you said it because I was thinking it.
Yeah, I can keep track of that guy. He was in the previous issue. Like, okay. Dude.
So how are things going with you in this whole COVID thing? Has it impacted your life much at all, or?
It's awesome. It's great. I never have to leave the house, and then I never have to have an excuse for why I never leave the house. Usually would be like, oh, do you have to work this weekend? Now it's like,
yep.
Is it even the weekend? I don't know. Is today any different than yesterday? You work every single day. What the hell? Why not? What else are we going to do? What else you got going on? All right, let's do that. Awesome.
It's a joke among the cartoonist buddies of mine that this is actually like a cartoonist wet dream because we can we can get work done.
Yeah.
Except for Raven. Raven.
What else are we gonna do?
Is it just you and your wife now, or your kids still live with you?
My youngest is home from school because they closed it. So
he's in college, right?
So he's doing his college work, but he's doing it. What do you call it?
Remotely,
like
remotely. That's the word.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets. I know for me, like I have myself and my wife both working from home and two little ones, and so I don't know. Going on week 4 or 5, it's starting to get a little haywire.
They get a little antsy. I mean, when our oldest moved out, we were kind of, instantly. At one point, it was like, and then our youngest went to school and was like, it's kind of a big house for 2 people. And now it's, oh, this is awesome. We can actually go. You can actually kind of go for a walk in our house. It's almost like exercise because it's just it's an old Victorian, so
right.
It's like on the ground floor.
Is it like a labyrinth in there?
You can kind of make a circle. You can make a circle because one side's the kitchen and then the other side's dining room, sitting room, all that stuff. So you can make a loop there. Like, oh, this is awesome. This works.
And you're in San Francisco. You live in like a touristy area, right? So it's probably pretty quiet nowadays, right?
Yeah, it's really quiet now.
That's kind of cool too.
I know LA, they're all marveling that they can see things because of the smog reduction. You got anything like, is it kind of like that? Like, are you guys marveling at the cleanness?
No, not really. It's right on the ocean anyway, so it doesn't really get super smoggy. It does get foggy, and that hasn't changed. So there's none of that. I guess there's some areas of town where suddenly wildlife at night is just like, I guess we're using these streets now, and just kind of wandering around. But otherwise, it's just less traffic in general. We're kind of near Golden Gate Park, so you can look out and see people walking around and jogging and shit like that. And it's like, all right, you guys are going too close to one another. I get that. That's not what you're supposed to be doing, folks. Come on. But so we can kind of look at people. Well, there's people outside. We haven't been out there, but we can look and see them. So we've been good. We've been sheltering.
I know your role with Image as like the CFO. Does that impact with this whole like shutdown with the the industry? Have you been involved on that front with the company and looking at things? And has it kept you busy?
Somewhat. I mean, the biggest impact there, at least initially, was that Diamond wasn't paying anybody, and I was like, well, that kind of hurts money flow.
Yeah.
With Diamond not paying anybody, that's not cool.
Especially with Image, right? Because if they don't pay you, you guys can't pay your guys or pay the.
Yeah, we can't pay not only people in the office, but the people who've done the books. And so we've got book deals, and we're using them as our distributor for books. And they don't send monthly checks on that; they send like quarterly checks. And so it's like, hey, creators, all your December royalties aren't forthcoming because these guys have shut the doors. And it's like, well, that's no good for anybody.
Yeah, it's a rough situation for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. It's like, look, everybody's got it rough. It's not just you, buddy.
Right.
Don't think you're special.
Really bad luck that basically all the distribution stopped the day 248 was supposed to come out. It was unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, it's right there, but on the other hand, I can kind of just go, yeah, but it kind of starts a chain of events, and it's better that the break be between 247 and 248 than 248 and 249. I think that would be a tougher wait.
I see.
So I don't like it, but if there's going to be a break, I'd rather it be before a thread of stories that can funnel one into the next than the other. But, oh well.
Right. So lots happened since the last time we had you on. So let's just back up a bit. So last year, Marvel brought you in to do a one-page for their big Marvel Comics 1000 issue, as well as a story for that Spider-Man Going Big one-shot. And then earlier this year, of course, we got your full one-shot Captain America: The End issue. So we've all just been kind of wondering, how did that all come about? Did we assume Marvel approached you, but how did getting to do that Captain America book come about?
Each one of those was just various isolated editors deciding on their own to just give me a buzz and say, hey, let's do this. You want to do this? You're interested in doing this? So that's really what that came about. It was 3 different people with 3 different approaches and 3 different ways of working with me and the whole 9 yards. And it was just like, let's try this out and see how we like it and take it from there.
Did they happen all pretty much at the same time, or were they spaced out? Or
yeah, pretty close to one another. It was sort of, I think it was, oh, this guy's willing to do stuff for us after the first one.
Mm-hmm. Which was the first one, the 1000?
Yes, you're willing to do 1 page, or are you willing to do 10 pages? You're willing to do 10. Are you willing to do, 30? And it's like, all right.
They just tipped you.
What would be if you had the preference? Did you like doing like the kind of the anthology one shot, like with the 3 stories and doing 10 pages, or would you rather do a full page and a full issue?
Yeah.
I like full issues, but 30 is that's too much.
Yeah.
That's a tough one because it's just it never seems to end. You just started, just like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? And you never get there.
I mean, it is an issue and a half of Dragon, 20 plus 10 there, so
yeah,
it's the same equivalent time we assume.
But Dragon, there's this thing where I kind of the first half of an issue of Dragon takes about 3 weeks, and then the last half takes about a week. So it's just this getting there, and once you're over the top, it's like whee, the end of the roller coaster, you know. And it's sort of, you got to ramp up to get there, but once you're there, it's all clear sailing. And with this Captain America thing, it's like, okay, I'm 10 pages in, and there's still no we. I'm still not. And even when you get to the halfway point, it's like, this still feels like I'm not halfway there because I've still got 15 pages to go. And it's like, I'm 20 pages in before suddenly it kind of feels like, okay, here we are, here we're going. But yeah, that one took me a while. It's different from 225. 225 was a longer issue. It was a 40-page story. Mm-hmm. But I didn't sit down and write that as a 40-page story. What happened is I just started drawing it. And so I did it page by page by page as I went. And it was kind of, this story will be as long as this story is. And so it was a different kind of experience. That's all I can say. It still seemed like it took forever, but it definitely felt different.
It's funny because as a reader, it definitely didn't feel like a slog. Like the pacing on that was super tight. It felt like really just it moved along.
Oh, it's good. I'm glad that worked.
Yeah, we couldn't tell.
In terms of working with editorial, I mean, I gave the editor a paragraph, and that was here's my plot, and it was like it was really bare bones nothing. Like, I hope to accomplish this, and off we go. So that part of it was pretty nice. That at one point the colorist was like, could you send me the script to see if there's any notes in there? And it's like, look,
nope,
there's nothing. Which is awesome. I mean, that's kind of the working method on Savage Dragon. You just kind of make a comic book.
Well, I said it last time because we reviewed it in our last episode that it feels like a different kind of comic than what Marvel usually publishes these days. It really feels unique. And
yeah, it's kind of, it was what I wanted. What I was going for is for it to feel like a traditional Jack Kirby kind of comic. That's why I was using the sort of standard grids that were used back in the day, 6-panel grids or 4-panel, whatever.
Yeah.
There's real squares and rectangles and no fancy stuff, no bursting borders or any craziness like that. Real traditional. I wanted the characters to look like, I'm not sitting there going, I want to nail Jack. I want this to look like Jack drew it, but to be like, well, these are clearly the same characters drawn by a different artist, sort of thing. So you go, all right, it feels like the way Captain America should look, the way he's built, the way he moves, or whatever. So that was kind of fun. And then, writing wise, yeah, it feels a little different from some Marvel comics because stuff actually happened.
Shots fired.
Gonna put
It
the
felt-
whole.
Oh,
we,
man.
we were talking about it, and to me, it felt like an issue that would have fit right in with, like, you know, Captain America and early issue 190s or 200s, like when Jack returned. It just, I mean, the coloring is different, but if it was more flat, it would feel like it would fit right in with that stuff. It was awesome. Like, even some of the faces, I felt like looked like Kirby faces, like the Red Skull getting punched, and one panel almost looks like that weird, like, Cap face he's making in, like, one of those early 200 issues when he got, like, got all beat up by the Red Skull. He's got those weird eyes and stuff. I don't know.
That's weird.
Yeah, swollen eyes.
Yeah, I definitely had those comics out and about when I was working on that issue. Like, I gotta keep this semi-on model.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like the Mad Bomb type thing, where, you know, you got the virus that's spread over and people going crazy, and it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun reading it and talking about it, and you know, I feel like if Marvel had more comics like this that were fun, I would be into it.
As would I. Yeah.
It was a great story. It really was. It was fun, done in one. It was, you know, we didn't know where it was going towards the end, where he was like kind of giving up, and it's like, where does this go from here? But it was cool.
Awesome, man. Thanks.
One last thing I just got to ask, because I was always curious every time I saw you talk about it. You mentioned that the Shield was a bitch to deal with. Like, in what way?
Just keeping them the same distance apart, and I don't have circle templates that are that big and that perfect that I can just draw it exactly right. Also, I decided for whatever reason I wanted to draw the Shield how Jack had done it, and Jack didn't put any, like, sheen on it at all, so there was no disguising it. There was nothing to hide behind. So when it looked a little off, it looked a little off. So there was a fair amount of tampering digitally afterwards to just go, all right, let's square this up a bit and not have it look quite so funky, and fix it in post. There's a bit of fixing things in post.
Did you do that one shot twice up, or did you do it like a more standard size?
I did not do that twice up. I did it basically. I used the same boards, but I drew not the same twice up boards. I used the same regular comics boards, but instead of I just pretended that there was no such thing as bleeds, and I just drew the pages as big as they could on the standard boards, and then I added the bleed in post. So I just took the page and put it on a bigger page, so that it was, because nothing in that book bled. There was except for the double page spread.
Nice. Cool.
That book probably had more sound effects than, like, a whole year's catalog of Marvel comics. It was pretty awesome. I know the one thing I kind of took away from it a little bit, it seemed like it was getting annoying, was because they printed that Stan Lee was created, that Captain America was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. And that was kind of disappointing that it kind of pulled a little bit of the shine off by that. It seemed like people got fixated on that.
I know. And idiots are sitting there going, yeah, you know who I got it wrong? Erik Larsen. It's like, yeah.
Really? They said that?
You think I'd get that wrong? You
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, well.
I never saw that. Like, I never saw anybody giving you the blame.
No, I didn't either. I just saw
In
people.
fact,
harping on it.
Liefeld shit right on that editor directly.
Oh, nice.
He's like, he's fucked up other books I've worked on. I'm like, oh, there you go.
Yeah, I don't like to name names. I don't even know what happened, but it's the same editors got a lot of stuff going on. You don't know it's not an assistant or somebody in the office, and they reuse those things as some kind of a template, and he edits the Fantastic Four or whatever. So it's like, yeah, I can see how this could happen.
Yeah. Yeah, figure maybe like 8 out of 10 Marvel books have created by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee on them. So
Yeah. Right. So it's like, okay, this is what this is.
How long did it take you to get through the end book? I know you said it took a bit longer.
A month and a half.
Oh, that's not that bad.
Yeah.
More than I would have liked. I mean, it's basically an issue and a half, so it took about an issue and a half worth of time.
Right. And then with the Spider-Man going big, was that almost like the same deal where you just turned in a real brief script? I mean, obviously the story's a lot shorter.
I don't remember what I sent him. Like, I gave him something of an outline. It wasn't long. It was fairly brief. And I think the same thing with a one-pager. It's like, well, what can I tell you? If any plot is going to be as long as the script, really, because there wasn't that much dialogue even.
Yeah, right.
Here's what happens. Yeah.
I'd just like to see like their face and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna use Nightshade as the villain. It's like, we've got Erik Larsen back for Spider-Man. Like, who's he gonna use? Which of the Sinister Six is he gonna use? Is it gonna be Venom? Who's he gonna? Yeah, we're gonna go with Nightshade.
What?
Why
What?
Nightshade? Was that just kind of?
I always thought she was a cool visual, and I thought because she does that whole werewolf thing, it would give him a whole shit ton of people he could be smacking around.
See, this is how you should think about using villains. Everyone else is going, who's got history?
Think when you go into it, you kind of should look at what they have, and what they have is they've got tons and tons and tons of characters, many of which have hardly been used at all, and then a few of which have been used in excess.
Right.
And I think you kind of should look at that whole thing and go, who's cool looking that hasn't appeared a million times? And go, oh, fuck, Stingray. How come nobody's using Stingray? He's awesome. Let's use Stingray. I mean, why wouldn't you do that rather than going, oh, let's do a Dr. Octopus story. Everybody loves him.
Yeah.
I'll bet if Venom shows up, that'll be a surprise. Like, really? It's like if we could go 3 years without ever seeing the Joker again, that would be great.
Bad news. Now there's 3 Jokers.
I know. It's like, yeah, let's make our characters less unique. Let's just make them all the same fucking guy. How about that?
Yeah, it's a problem.
It was a cool little story though. Like you said, there's a lot of like villains, all the werewolves that you could smack around for a quick kind of, was it 10 pages, I think?
Yeah. 10 pages, get a double page spread in there.
Yeah.
Got it. And
That
2
last
splashes
splash.
on either end. Yeah, I mean, it was really like, let's just make the most of this. We got a little bit of space, and you have to write 10 pages as in a different kind of way than you do a longer story, but whatever. It's all good.
And then on top of that, you had your art was featured in the Spider-Man movie, the Spider-Verse movie, which was cool because it was like right in the beginning, and it was like 1 page of comic book art, huge on the screen. It was like, oh crap, I know that. That's Erik's art.
Yeah, that was
kind of
neat. Yeah, that was definitely like, oh, all right then. Somebody somewhere has that original, and they're like, oh yeah. It's all me.
But yeah, it's just strange that it was like, oh, 2019 is like all of a sudden all this Marvel work is coming out, and it was like, oh, this is great. On one hand, I love it. On the other hand, we're talking about less Savage Dragon. But I feel
I know they're really slacked off. It's nice to get a little bit of a break every now and then to do something different, and I've done a lot of little different things here and there, but yeah, you do miss it, and it's like, oh, I want what I want.
It was cool though. Go ahead.
Well, sorry to interrupt there, Craig, real quick. Just like we were sort of talking about it, like, when you do Savage Dragon, like, or any one thing exclusively for so long, it's kind of easy for like fan bases to just write you off. And it was kind of cool. We've noticed that, like, even on the Facebook page, there's been an influx of new readers, new members. And we kind of maybe think that, like, that Marvel work, it is nice, sort of a little come up for air, say, hey, everybody, Erik Larsen's still here. He's still making, yes, they still publish Savage Dragon every it's published as much as I can. Like, come on, I'm still alive.
Don't call it a comeback.
Yeah.
It's actually good. Like, it's actually probably good for Dragon for you to just poke your head out and do other shit for a while.
Oh, well, good.
Or do you not feel that way?
As long as it's not a situation where they've got a choice, I think that can be something where you go, well, if I'm choosing between Erik Larsen on Spider-Man and Erik Larsen on Savage Dragon, I got to go with Spider-Man. I always loved his Spider-Man. But if it's, there's a break here and there's something else, that kind of works, I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm nuts, but then it's like I'm leading you back. Come on back. Got over here.
Well, hopefully that's how it works. I mean, again, we've no way to tell. COVID-19's fucking shit up, but like at least on the Facebook side of things, like there's been a steady flow of new blood. Or maybe it's old blood that just realized you were, still in the game.
Raven, you're talking about the fan group page on Facebook, right?
Right. Yep.
As admins, definitely. We approve everyone who joins, so we generally get, a couple of alerts every day that someone's looking to join up.
Yeah, it seems like it's been really steady after all the Marvel work. It's weird like that. And people are sticking on talking Savage Dragon. So, and I've noticed a bunch of people saying I've jumped back on. And the other thing I've noticed too is I feel like with this this epidemic, I've also noticed people saying, "Well, I need some new stuff to read," and there's this big catalog of Savage Dragon books. So I'm going to dive in. I've honest to God, I've noticed 3 or 4 different people recently that have said that, and so there's some good aspects of this.
Yeah, well, there's plenty of it for people who are sitting there wanting something to do. So, okay.
I think this guy, I saw a guy say he just bought a lot of like 50. He's like, I hope I like it.
I hope so too, buddy.
And then we also had, and I don't know if we talked to you about this, but I mean, you were involved in some aspects back in the day, but now the Ninja Turtles Urban Legends have kind of been going on, and we're getting towards the issues. It's kind of screwed Frank Fosco over, the artist, and Gary Carlson, but we're getting right to the end with the wrap this up, the new issues, and this happens, and it's like, but what are your thoughts on seeing that in color, which is kind of cool because I know that was like the original plan back in the day, if it was economically feasible. And
it is cool to see it in color. Yeah, they send me comps of all that stuff. So
that's nice,
right? Because they're still using your covers.
Yeah, they don't send me those comps though.
Oh, really?
They always send me the other one.
That's odd.
Like,
did anybody ask for you to do variants for the new issues?
They did for the new ones.
Yeah.
No, I don't think they did.
Okay.
Because I'm not doing them.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess at that point Gary was drawing all the covers anyway. You only did like the first few, right?
Frank was. I was
Frank.
inking them up through the end.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, but Frank was drawing them, so it's like it's his book.
Yeah.
I've got my own stuff I need to be doing. So
Sure. It's not, I think of that book as like almost a Savage Dragon spinoff in ways because it's tied into a lot of what was going on. And it's also its own animal, but it is very closely tied in with the highbrow universe.
yeah,
And there are a lot
of that.
It's got a lot of characters from Savage Dragon in it, which is
Yeah.
kind of cool that they're getting exposed to a new generation of Turtle fans. That hopefully would lead them back to Savage Dragon someday.
Yeah, right.
But it is cool also to see closure on that story. I mean, it was such a bummer. Like, I never got to tie it up and never thought that would ever happen. So I'm glad to see that for Gary and Frank and, even you you guys put a lot of work on that back in the day. Yeah,
Definitely cool. And they don't consult me at this point. They're not like, but Frank does send me pages as he draws them, so it's neat to be able to see everything as it comes together. And I send him,
the newer.
Yeah, I send him stuff too. Actually, I send whenever I ink a page, I send it to Gavin and to Frank. Those are the dudes.
Those are your guys.
That's it. My consulting crew, whatever.
The brain trust.
There it is. What do you got going on?
As someone who never read that Ninja Turtles, this whole thing has been, like Craig already said, like it's been an awesome Savage Dragon companion. But I mean, it's just been fantastic. Like I really was not expecting anything. I'm not like the hugest Turtles fan, but like Gary just really kicked ass. Frank's really turned it up. All those Dragon tie-ins are just fantastic. Like Hortus in particular has just been great in that whole series.
Yeah,
so
it's been a fun book. And I am really looking forward to seeing this all finally wrapped up. And then we can all move on with our lives.
Yeah.
Finally.
That was the fun part though of like the 90s and stuff, to like be able to like develop your characters a little more outside the main title. Unfortunately, I think when you go back and read it now, if you don't get those, sometimes you miss a little bit of development. But back then it was fun that you could spend a couple of pages in another book to develop Hortus's character or Vanguard's character or whatever.
Yeah, I liked it, and it was nice. It's always nice to have there be some kind of companion book, whether it be Freak Force or Super Patriot or Deadly Duo or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Right. If you had to pick a favorite, what was your favorite kind of spin-off, either one shot or series?
Freak Force is the closest to my heart, just because I was actually working on it directly. It's just putting words in characters' mouths.
Yeah.
Deadly Duo is fun, but it is somewhat exhausting to do because it's like writing gag stuff. It just takes more effort than playing it straight,
Sure. I'm sure you're double guessing if things are funny or not. Or...
Yeah. It's like, oh man. So I am actually improving an issue as we speak at the printer. I'm clicking off the review OK button.
Make sure you got your it is versus
yeah,
it's.
Right. I got it. It's been reviewed by anybody who needs to review it. Make sure that I got all my spellings spelled right. I know this page is loaded with typos. Where is it?
Put the mole on the right side, the patch on the right eye.
So the printers are still taking your submissions for whenever they start up again?
Stuff. Well, it's all electronically, so things are just stacking up there. And then when this all is over, then they can just go, okay, now we're printing this, now we're printing that. And they can just go on through the whole thing. So this is cool. So yeah, 249 is out of my hair almost.
Wow. You were saying, I think on either Twitter or Facebook, that when you're going to write 250, you're going to involve some kind of, you're going to allude to the COVID or something as you're writing.
I've got it mentioned throughout 249. I couldn't in 248 because it was too soon. I didn't. And then 249, I when people are sitting there punching in the street, they're just saying, making quips about social distancing. It's like, we are not 6 feet apart, or whatever.
That's hilarious. You're going to have to write something in the letters column referencing so people 10 years from now or whatever, understand what was going on.
Aware that this is going on. I'm also starting to put dates on things. So it's like, it'll say March 16th, 2020 is when this page takes place, and then and I'm actually just putting the date, whenever the date is, as I'm typing it. So you can know, oh, okay, that's the day he scripted that page.
Yeah. Well, I guess, I wasn't thinking about it until you just mentioned it, but with this slowdown and if things aren't going to come out the door for 3-4 months and your book's in real time and you have, 2 or 3-year-olds that grow fast, you got to have some kind of measure.
Yeah.
Right.
It's definitely weird.
How does that, with the kids, because little kids grow so fast, do you find that a little bit of a struggle to kind of keep up with aging them properly, or?
Yeah, it's something, because there's definitely stuff you have to think about. Suddenly Maddie can talk, and she's got, it's very rudimentary wording, but suddenly she's able to ask somebody to read her a book, which is something that she's never said a word before. She's been like a baby, and now she's talking. And then I was thinking about I always forget her name, but Maxine's mom and Kevin. Mm-hmm. Their kid is almost 2 now, and it's the last time I saw that kid was a baby. And
yeah.
It's almost 2. What the hell? And I just have to constantly be thinking about, okay, how old is this character now? How old is this? Where are we at? And how old is Maxine's mom, for that matter? And so I'm constantly referring to the wiki to go, okay, let's put some birth dates on these guys, or at least birth years on these guys.
Yeah.
Just to be able to track it somewhat.
I need to add a few gray hairs on Alex because now she's 47 or whatever.
Yeah. Well, those they stack up. And it's holy crap. It's when I started doing this book, I was 29 years old. Now I'm 57. And it's all these characters are in the same damn boat, and even if you put them in the earliest they could possibly be at that time, and I did, when I went to put down when is Alex's birthday and whatever, I made her super young when I established her birthday. But now it's she's an old woman. there's just no two ways around it. You can't have 28 years pass and still be sitting there being a kid. You can't do it.
Yeah. We were laughing like we were doing some of our retro reviews of the earlier issues, and one time we were looking at one of the issues, and it was like Frank Senior's wife Mildred. We were like, oh wow, she used to be hot at one point. It was like the first I don't know if it was the miniseries or what. It was like, oh, she's pretty smoking. That's Mildred.
Yeah. Now she's. Yeah, she's one of the more extreme ones because I haven't had a lot of characters just get fat, where just this put on a bunch of weight. I guess Cutthroat.
Yeah,
pretty.
Cutthroat. Barbaric for a little while, and
Barbaric for a while, and then it was like, all right, I'm going to be super again, so I can't be a big old fat dude. But I haven't.
Rapture. She got horrible.
I gotta get more fatties in the book. I haven't really had too many people blimp out. It happens. Happens to the best of us.
So I think we talked that we were saying we last spoke to you. It was issue 239 that we talked about. We're on issue 247 now, and I feel like every time we have you on, I say the same thing, but it's like I feel like so much has happened since we've last talked to you, because it really has. There's been some really dark points of the book. There's been some, humor. There's been a lot of new characters introduced. And it's really only been 7 issues, which is insanity. But I feel like there's like cast members now in the book that were just introduced that feel like they've been part of the book for a while, like Greta Gearbox and
Captain Tootsie.
Captain Tootsie, yeah, absolutely.
Tootsie.
I'm glad he stuck
he
around.
turned out to be.
Characters that have been in successive issues that suddenly feel like, oh yeah, this is one of the dudes.
It's what do you think? Like certain characters, I feel like just gel, and I don't know if it's. I feel like it's maybe a reader response too, but like Captain Tootsie, I feel like is really just kind of taken on like a cult character type thing with the very few issues he's had, but he's really like gotten his own personality in a way, almost in a way that I feel like Daredevil didn't get. Like I felt like Daredevil never really clicked or meshed as much as like Captain Tootsie after like 2 or 3 issues.
Well, cool.
Well, Captain Tootsie feels like the friend Malcolm needs to just talk to sometimes, like his Frank.
Yeah. I like that. I like that he's an older kind of presence. That he's got his own history, and then his own fan club comes along with it. So. Which I guess now that they're part of they're on Earth and they're whatever, those kids are going to start aging too. So I need to start tracking them. Holy crap! Another bunch of stuff to worry about.
We know you've said before you just sort of play it fast and loose, but like, did you ever imagine Captain fucking Tootsie would become such a I think fans like him. I mean, I think he's a fan favorite. Did you ever see that coming?
No, I didn't see that coming. You don't know. Yeah, you never know how it works out, but sometimes it just kind of does, but it's sort of like Powerhouse too, where it's like, all right, here's an unlikely person for people to just glom onto and go, yeah, he's my guy. I'm all about Powerhouse. He's awesome. Like, what? All right.
It's funny you mention that, because during this whole kind of shut-in, I've been going back and rereading my old issues, and reading the letters page after Powerhouse's first appearance is hilarious. Of people like, who the hell is this chicken head thing? They're like just trashing him, and it's like, oh man, if you only know how cool he would be.
Yeah.
But
well, initially that was his only appearance was gonna be in that one little square in issue 24, and that was gonna be it. And you know the way I work. My
Yeah.
pencils can sometimes be kind of rough. And I was sitting there, and I knew I had to take a page break from something else, and I knew it was like, all right, I've got two characters that are arguing. And I was on the phone with Jeff Matsuda, and I said, who should I make the other guy? And he goes, oh, the chicken guy. You got to use that. I was like, all right. And so
he was a guy that you had created, right? Before, like when
I created him when I was like in fourth grade. So he and Dragon were like he and Flash Mercury were the old guys. Those guys were old school, old comics. Those were like the real early guys. I mean, there was an earlier Dragon than Flash Mercury, but he kind of looked the same. Kind of had some of that. It was such a mess. I was so just making shit up and then changing my mind completely from story to story.
I mean, that's another guy. Did you ever expect Flash Mercury to really command such a presence in the book? I mean, when he showed, people love him too, I feel like, and it's like,
he's one of those that I think with both Powerhouse and Flash Mercury is people either love them or hate them. And so there's definitely something where for some readers, there's a line beyond which you can't really go, and where things are like, all right, I'm willing to accept a guy with a big shark head running around being a badass. This is where I draw the line. This dude right here, that's going too far.
Well, clearly I have no lines because you've never crossed them.
As you say, if Powerhouse is crossing a line, how are you still reading the book?
Yeah, I mean, he's not even like the top
lines
10
crossed left or right.
He's not even the top 10 weirdest guys at this point.
Not even close.
No. But yeah, so that was hitting on one thing. I mean, let's talk about some of the dark stuff that happened in the book to just kind of flip the script a little bit. I mean, the attack on Maxine, that stuff got really, really dark. How was that going through in the book and drawing that? Like, was that kind of a struggle, or did it, was it something that you had planned to do? Was it how did that come about?
It kind of came about after I'd done the thing of her dying earlier and then Heaven being just amazing.
Yeah.
And it was like, I can't have her just have this death wish from here on out where it's like, if I die, it's going to be nothing but us. So it was like, how can I make death now be terrible? And so then it became, well, her heaven or sort of heaven is the same thing now, but now it's horrific. So now she really wants nothing more than to stay alive. So just wanting to flip that so it wasn't just, whatever. And also I was just kind of going, where am I going with this, for crying out loud? I have no idea. I've got it. How does this end? I can't have this go like this forever. This is getting weird.
She is a complex character. I mean, I feel like lately too, she's kind of been boozing it up, and maybe that's a way to deal with it, But you've seen that in a bunch of issues now where she's kind of drinking too much, and that's been crazy.
She's a character you can do stuff with, and have, I don't know if the word is fun, but
explore like different ideas.
Just I can do different things with her that I can't do with some other characters. She's a constant presence and stuff like that. I like to play around with that. I don't know. But for a while there, at the end of 240 was like, now it's dark, it's terrible, and things are never going to be the same again. And then you go to the next issue and you go, it's like telling a joke, getting to the punchline, And then, okay, now what are the chickens doing now that they're across the road? It's like, shit, I've got to keep going with this. I'm not done with the chickens. I've got to keep, there is no ending to anything. It's all ongoing forever. And it's like the only closure to any of this shit is death.
Yeah.
And I don't want to kill her. So, now you got to find some other place to go with her, and what else can you do, and what can the next step be, and stuff like that.
I think it's real interesting.
Oops, sorry, go ahead, Craig.
No, you go ahead, Raven. Go ahead.
All I was going to say is I feel like Craig mentioned it. I mean, it was really like she's a super complex character, but it's the kind of stuff that, like, I don't think they would have the balls to ever, like, approach this kind of like a rape survivor kind of storyline in a mainstream corporate comic. And so it was just kind of like the whole time we're reading it, like, just us as readers, we're like, holy shit, dude, like, how is this going to play out? Like, is this going to be like an enjoyable, like, how can this be entertainment? Like, this kind of a terrifying, like, thing to have anyone go through. I think you did it. I think you pulled it off. I mean, honestly, watching Maxine deal with it, it has been, I think you handled things delicately, yet also addressed shit head on. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely, like, I danced around stuff in 240 a lot in terms of the visuals. It's like I don't want to show rape going on in the book.
Right.
I really draw the line there. That's really uncomfortable. So, you can show somebody about to get attacked. You can show somebody kind of after the fact as being, like, freaked out. But it's like, I don't find that. I find there's no pleasure for me in that at all. So,
sure,
just trying to be as tasteful as I can while still making it obvious, like, look, this terrible thing went on.
Yeah.
And then, moving on.
But I think the thing with, like, Maxine that is kind of cool in the book is that she's got such a big presence and she goes through a lot of crazy situations, and she doesn't have superpowers, and she's not even a superhero. She's not even, like, a superhero without powers. She's just a regular person, and it helps also kind of ground the book on that side of things. So
I think it definitely does need that, but she's really kind of surrounded by it. Sometimes I feel like the book has got one human being supporting character, and it's like, all right, I maybe need to do a little more than that, because that seems.
And this is a book where ordinary human supporting characters often have a rough time of it. So you're always worried about it.
When it started off, that's all it was normal human beings supporting characters, because Dragon was part of the police force, and that's all those guys were.
Right, and most of his girlfriends were regular humans, and yeah.
And then
that's true.
Now it's like, hey, here's my friend Captain Tootsie. Well, he is a superhero. Hey, we've got a maid, but she's a robot, and we've got 4 children running around, but they're all superpowered. So, I feel like at times, like, can I get a few more regular people in here? And I tried to do that with the party sequence early on, and when they just got to Toronto, but I didn't really glom on any of those characters very much. I kind of there's one or two that I featured a couple times. One of them was a friend of Maxine, and the other one was just like orange-haired, bearded dude.
Yeah, I remember that.
I was just say he stands out.
Yeah. And it's like, okay.
And then you had neighbor Craig that got his arms ripped off.
Yeah, neighbor Craig, who wasn't, very soon was not a normal person.
But it does, yeah. I mean, it does make it hard because you introduce superpowered toddlers, and it's like, well, what do you expect them to do? And it can't be safe. And we see that with Maxine, who's afraid to handle her own child because she could get killed. So it does make it hard to have like normal people around this family.
Oh.
Walden Wang is rock solid as a human supporting character. I think he's great.
That's true.
Yeah, except his house. His house didn't really survive.
Yeah, he's a regular normal guy, so I need to get him back in to a degree. And there's other characters that I can start pulling in a little bit here and there. Get just some regular folks.
We need
Also
to see.
celebrate. Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, celebrate that, Walden Wang, you very much are practicing what you preach with, like, gay representation. Like, you constantly, I saw people ask you, like, well, how do you handle it, Eric? If you don't want safe space and Snowflake, what would you do? And you're like, well, you just have the character just be in there and just be who they are. And we didn't even know Walden Wang was gay till we met his partner. And it's like, oh, okay, well, cool. No big deal. No big deal. Moving along.
Yeah. Oh, until it's mentioned, like, the red-haired guy with the beard, until he mentions, a partner, you don't know. You don't know of anybody's orientation until you do. When it becomes relevant, then it's relevant.
You don't know about Mace until he kisses Super Tough.
Yeah, that's right. Surprise.
But yeah, you've been doing that for a while. I mean, way beyond, way ahead of the curve there. So,
well, it's also just having there be minorities and stuff in the book that other titles, they're sitting there making a movie going, oh, but we need a black character. Oh, I guess we better turn this guy into being a black guy. And it's like, or you could introduce minority characters in a goddamn comic and just keep them around.
Right.
That makes too much sense.
Yeah. Come on. What's wrong with you?
We do need to, speaking of the kids and stuff, we need to get at least another issue of the all kid action before they get too big. That was a fun issue.
Yeah, well, I want to do another one that's all double page spreads like that. I've got something in mind down the road that I want to do. I actually want to do one which is all Sunday funnies, but all different Sunday funnies. So do like, here's a double page spread that's in the style of Peanuts. Here's a double page spread style of, Blondie. Here's a double page style, brilliant. And just go through various strips.
Prince
the real problem with it just visually is the comic book characters have such a distinctive silhouette that it's tough to draw them in some other style and have them look both like they're from that strip and look like the actual character. Mm-hmm. It's like drawing Malcolm as Dagwood with, making sandwiches and stuff. It's like, can you even tell that he's a Dagwood guy when he's got Malcolm's build?
Yeah.
You can do it, Eric.
True.
I believe in you, dude. That's going to be awesome.
I need to see the kids as like the family circus.
Far Side powerhouse.
Yeah, well, those are tough ones because those are one panel strips, and it's like, all right, well, how would I do a Far Side one as a one pager? I guess you could start as a page one could be Family Circus and just put it in a circle, and then the last page could be some other.
I mean, I would do like one page would have four of them, like four of those one panel strips.
So much you could do.
Can you see Beetle Bailey demonoids?
It's tough. It's tough to just thinking of all the different kind of strips there are and what can you do? I mean, when I was doing that Calvin and Hobbes one, it's like really the closest thing was the lettering.
Yeah.
In terms of the way the characters were drawn, they didn't really look like they were straight up.
No, and yet it still reads that way. It's obvious, like Calvin and Hobbes sort of inspired
the
things.
Vegetation, the trees and shit, the grass,
the colored borders and stuff. Yeah, it was you saw that and you knew. There's no denying it. It was cool. That issue was a lot of fun.
Well, I want to do more, and and there's stuff that you can do. And at this point, Maddie can actually be part of that because now she's old enough to be walking and be trouble because she is walking and stuff like that. So, and also if it's during the COVID-19 shit, those kids can go off on their own and Maxine can't go after him, really. I mean, I guess you could just put a big old mask on and venture out, but you're not supposed to be doing too much of that. It's
immortal,
like, oh, okay.
Not that immortal.
Yeah, right? You can still get sick. You can still die.
That sucks.
Still better than being able to like survive in the vacuum of space and never die. That's the worst.
Yeah. I mean, she's not immortal. So it's like, oh, all right. And we don't even know at this point. It could just be like, 3 years into it. It's like, it seems like I'm still getting older. What the hell?
You get old forever. That's not great either.
It's been diluted so much that you really,
Yeah. You mean this was supposed to be refrigerated before I gave it to you?
Yeah.
Craig, what's the running gag toilet paper? I know there's Boom Pow Tacos. What's the toilet paper? When you really got to wipe your butt?
Yeah, when you really have to wipe, right, Eric? The ad for the toilet paper.
What issue was that?
Well, I was just thinking toilet paper shortages, man. when you're making your COVID-19
when
jokes.
You really, really, really have to wipe.
Yeah, I'd have to come up with a Canadian equivalent. I was actually thinking of having them get a new neighbor Craig, but having it just be the Canadian spelling of neighbor. It's just neighbor Craig or whatever. It's like, really? Okay. It just happens to look like the same dude. Yeah, here you go.
Same happy demeanor and everything.
Yeah,
So I've got to ask, what made you decide to go the way you did with Scourge in the end? To end that basically.
I don't know. You know what it was? I just didn't like his mask. It's as idiotic as that. As like going, there's no way the lines coming from his eyes make him look like he's a little sad. And
he's crying all the time.
He doesn't look mean. He kind of looks like, oh, my dog is run off. It's like, oh man. So I don't know. I'm not. Never say never, but there's always workarounds to this stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, and it turns out he's able to come back to life because he's a villain. Villains can do that, and people don't get so pissed off when villains come back. Yeah. But at least initially it was like, God, there's something about his design that I'm not super into.
I'll admit he's a little busy.
And it's a little busy, and it's just like I was kind of thinking he could be a Green Goblin sort, and then it was like, I just don't think he's that cool. And more than anything, it was just, I don't think he's so cool. And if I want to do this, I can come up with a different way of doing it. So, oh well.
That's hilarious because we were gushing over like what a badass we thought he was and how cool he looked. Dude, check the tapes, listeners.
Nobody say.
Check the tapes, listeners. We praised that costume design. Jim,
I don't know what you're talking
pretend.
about.
You can't pretend you thought it was busy. You thought it was fucking awesome. Admit it.
Hey, back then I had tact. Now I can be honest.
All right.
Oh, bullshit.
That first cover where he's just like, oh, it's like, got to come up with I don't know. Beware the scourge.
It was a crazy death, though. It was like, oh, Malcolm, you killed him. All right, let's cover this up.
Like, oops. that's not cool.
And I do have to say that idea that Malcolm may have murdered this guy actually, I think, could be a really cool concept to explore. Is he going to get in trouble for this? Is he going to feel bad about it? Is he going to put a rift between him and Tootsie? Because Tootsie's was really messed up about it.
You did kill a guy. I did not mean to kill a dude.
We've joked.
He just wants to leave him and walk away.
You just go up. That's all
We've joked that Malcolm's definitely the accidental murderer.
Yeah, he does accidentally murder a lot of people.
Even after all this time, he doesn't seem to know his own strength.
Yeah. They're like, oops. Oh, well. That goes on. Because that happened in 42, right? 242? Didn't he kill a dude there, too?
242.
Oh, no, he didn't. That was the god killed the other dude.
Yeah.
Yep, the god did it.
I'm a regular guy now, and I don't like this old man. Snap. The end. So I'm going to punch you in the face, Malcolm. God, I don't even remember this shit. I actually have to look through the comic to be reminded, like, oh, yeah, that's how I ended that.
242, I thought you killed Kevin. I was pretty pissed at you.
We were all sad.
Yeah. I've just loved seeing Kevin, Thunderhead turn into this giant, like, intimidating, like, minion to the Claw, and now he's like Mr. Rogers, basically.
I love that he just wears a sweater vest, like, all the time.
Don't let anyone tell you that it's lame, Eric. Sweater vests are in.
I mean, when he started off, he was a dude who worked at a bank.
Yeah.
He was like this ordinary, like, regular guy just doing his ordinary, regular stuff. His dad was like, don't follow my path. And he was like, all right. I won't follow your path. I'll just be a regular dude. And then it's like, oh, being a regular dude is tough. It doesn't work out so well.
Especially when you have a skull for a face. Didn't you give him like...
he got tamed by Cougar May.
Yeah. And then we witnessed that he had lightning bolts on his butt cheeks too.
Well, the thing is, he really doesn't make any sense if you think about him at all.
Yeah.
As you go, his dad has invisible skin. What's going on with him? Because he clearly doesn't. Does he have a blue skull underneath invisible skin? How does that work? He doesn't have any lips. How is he pronouncing certain words even?
They're invisible lips,
I mean, it's clearly he's got blue skin over the rest of his body, so he's not like transparent like his dad was. Did we ever see Skullface like out of his armor? Was he just a skeleton?
No, we've seen him before he changed to Skullface, and then his skin was just invisible, right? I mean, I know I've seen a picture of him as a human,
but no, I'm saying if he's out of that armor.
We saw him in a hospital bed after Frank blew him up, and he was just like a fucking wheezing wreck.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was messed up.
With his crazy glowing eye, I think. Was that the one? Or no?
Yeah.
That was awesome. I miss old Skullface.
I miss all kinds of characters where it's just like, it'd be cool to have ancient Mako walking around, being all like, being all old and shit.
Yeah, we were saying that, hey, man, I know he was doing some funky stuff in Atlantis, so there's got to be, son or daughter of Mako somewhere.
Yeah, there certainly could be that. That was something I had considered, is at some point having like 6 of them show up. Like, holy shit.
The school of Mako.
Yes. Yes. A hammerhead Mako. Yes.
I loved in the Savage World when he showed up in that like crazy like 70s looking costume. That was so cool. His little Mako super costume. So I miss that dude. We were talking about like on the Savage Dragon fan page on Facebook, like our favorite fight scenes in the series, and I had to go with the Mako old dragon prison fight, man. That Mako finally got his win, before he got pulled off too soon, and he's just a super character.
Yeah, I agree. I liked him quite a bit, but
that's life.
It's like even the cool guys have to go eventually. Yep. I can't have it just be like everybody survives, everybody's fine. Unless you start killing cool guys occasionally, then people just thinks everybody's invincible.
Right.
Oh, we wouldn't kill him. He's too cool. Watch me.
Right. And then Scourge gets a fucking poke. He gets poked to death, and I'm like, oh, any cool character can die. Chain Man. Speaking of cool designs that left us, they came and went like a hurricane. Chained Man, absolutely beautiful character, and that was an absolutely beautiful one shot.
That was a bitch.
I can imagine drawing all those locks and
9
chains.
panels.
All the locks.
Yeah, it was 12 panels.
Oh, 12 panels. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, let's do a 12-panel grid. That'll be fun. Like, really? Yeah, and let's see how many chains you can draw, because those are fun too. The dude who's wrapped entirely in chains.
You do have a knack for drawing the chains, though, man. You drew some badass spawn chains and stuff like that, so it's definitely a strength of yours.
Yeah, but good Lord. That's a lot of work.
I like Raven's story is that you can tell it, Raven. I mean,
are you talking about the commission?
Yeah.
So basically, Eric, me and Mark Wells are like, we did consecutive Erie comic conventions, like Erie. And what was even funny is like, Tom Sholey's there. Like we're like talking Savage Dragon. We're feeling the Savage Dragon-y. Like we met Rikus. Like he's got the Savage Dragon icon on his car. So I'm just nerding.
Who's that? Rikus? Who's that?
The fella who had like the Savage Dragon like Fin logo on the leather bag, and like he had it on his car. It was funny because like Welser tells me, he's like, dude, I saw a Savage Dragon logo on someone's car out in the parking lot. I was like, oh, we'll get him. I was like, we'll find him, dude. I was like, we'll find him. He came up and like, sure enough, like we were drawing that jam pic. He's like, Savage Dragon? I was like, oh yeah, there he is, dude. I was like, that's the guy. But basically, so we were doing that pinup. Or I tell every year, I'm like, Mark, let's do a Savage Dragon jam picture. He's like, yeah, hell yeah, let's do it. So we do this like thing, and like we're gonna drag in D-Fish and like Scott James, and like we're just like having all these fin heads like work on this thing. I do the layout, like the super rough, shitty layout that everyone's gonna draw very good over. And I'm like drawing the Chain Man. I'm like, oh yeah, this guy's gonna be a heavy hitter. And there's like chains going all throughout the entire layout. Boom. Dead in the same issue. And like, so we had a thing, Eric.
I can bring him back.
Yeah, he's not dead. He just went back to wherever he came from.
Well, just the funny thing is Scourge died next. And so like, as this pinup went on, like all the characters we had, like they just kept getting killed. Yeah. That's it. That's
how Savage Dragon do.
That's how this book works. It's like, yeah, nobody's gonna be in here for long, except for Buffalo Stew.
So we got a couple of questions from listeners that we got off the Facebook group that we thought we'd ask you for them. So this first one comes in from James Hansen, and he asks, if you could go back to 1992 and give your younger self some advice, what would it be?
Don't start over your numbering. Just go with the shit. Just keep going, man.
What was the idea behind that? Was you didn't know if it was going to be successful or not?
Yeah, I didn't know if it was going to be successful, and I'd lined up. I mean, when Image started, I had other work lined up. I was going to do a Nova had been approved as a miniseries, and I was going to do a Lobo miniseries at DC. So I had stuff that I was going to do, and then Savage Dragon was super successful. And the only reason I didn't have it be consecutive is because there were those events that took place between the two issues, and it seemed like it would be a kind of a rocky transition if you were reading those consecutively. Like, oh, he's got this girl who likes him down the hall. Next issue, she's dead, and there's no explanation as to why she's dead. Whereas if there was a break, and we know it took place in some other book, and when it's collected at something, it's like, I don't know. It just seemed like there's too much stuff that took place between these issues to really just have it be suddenly, hey, there's this character called She-Dragon that's roaring around that you've not been introduced to, or whatever. This took place in some other thing. It just seems strange, so it's like, all right, let's just do it. But in retrospect, it would be like, I could be on issue.
Maybe on 250 already.
I would have already been done my 250. I'd be beyond that.
It would be stuck at Diamond Distributor warehouses right now.
Yeah, I would have had it. At least 250 would have been out, right?
I think we're. Oh, you're right. Yeah, it would have been out. Yeah.
It would have been the last one.
Yeah.
It would have to be this big break between 250 or something like that.
How long was the break between the miniseries and the regular series? I forgot. Like, was it like 6 months, or did you go?
It was months, because there was. What did I do in between? It shouldn't have been months, but it was.
I can tell you.
Because I did a bunch of extra pages for when it was collected as a trade paperback.
Gotcha.
And then I did the Dragon Megaton Man one-shot.
Right.
So it was almost exactly 6 months. It was December to June.
Well, I mean, and in the middle of that was Dragon Megaton Man, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
And then so there's a trade, and then when it started up again in June, it was pretty solid for a little bit, and then I started fucking up. I usually average about 10 a year, seems like. So once it starts getting monthly again, it'll be monthly for a good long while. It looks like.
Yeah, you'll have the extra big book out of the way, and then maybe have a few months of catching up with this whole shutdown. So
yeah, I really want to get to a point where I can finish an issue and then draw the cover afterward, rather than draw the cover beforehand. Because I'm tired of just being locked into something because of the cover.
Right.
And I've done issues. I guess I've done issues in the past where the issue wasn't 100%, but sometimes they're really not. Like this isn't happened at all. Like not even close, and that's a little weird. So,
you're one of the few people that makes the cover match the guts.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like it's funny that you're worried because like every other comic
Nobody
I buy,
does.
the cover has nothing to do with it.
But I do like that you do that. I hate
usually the covers are like, hey, it's Spider-Man on a brick wall. And it's like, oh, really? I hope he sticks to a brick wall. Really excited about all that wall sticking. That's going to be great.
I wonder if that was a reaction to that type of issue where they didn't know what was getting put in and they needed to get the advanced copies out, so they started doing it. Because it just seemed like, well, it just happened overnight almost.
It's just being able to reuse shit. And that was happening a lot, is they would be going, hey, we can use this on T-shirts, and we can use this Spider-Man figure on the side of a kid's shoe, and we can use this as a poster, and we can kind of get this super cheap art that we can use all over the place, and we just pay for it once, and now it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's it's kind of a shitty thing to do to whoever drew it in the first place. But it's like, hey, you drew this once, and now it's everywhere. Tough shit.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
And for a while, your image was on the Marvel checks, right?
Yeah, it was on it for like 20 years. When it was replaced with Mickey Mouse. So
when Disney bought it out, right?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
That's
and so, and one other question. Or were we going to say something, Craig?
No, I was going to ask you if you had another question.
Just one other question. Darth Flint asks, do you ever think you will release a full-color omnibus of Savage Dragon, preferably in hardcover? And I think we've talked about this before. It's really coming down to the coloring, right? Making it difficult.
Yeah, it's come down to the coloring and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, if I start doing an omnibus thing, how many of those am I going to be able to get out before people will go, all right, we're not buying that anymore?
Yeah.
Right.
It's like how typically the sales on those things is issue 1, they sell 1 million copies of. Issue 2, they sell way less. And then issue 3, it's not worth publishing at all.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of omnibus series out there that start and then stop, and then it's tough, and especially with a series as long as yours. It's just, how would you even do it?
They're not going to all be in print, So it's like, I guess the best I may be able to do would be to go, let's do something akin to the Savage Dragon archives in color, and just have those be bricks.
Right.
You can just go, okay, there's going to be a chunk of these in every one. And when we don't have nice, beautiful files, we're just going to scan in the comics and make them look as beautiful as we can make them look, and clean them up as much as we can clean them up. And sorry, but that's how that works, because there's no way to recreate some of the coloring on some of those, because it's just so involved, and to recolor it with a different colorist, it'll look really weird and out of place.
Right.
And to try and match it is nearly impossible.
And I feel that even if that's all you did was scan the pages and reproduce them as well as you can, I think that's enough for some people, for most people, really. They just want a chunky volume in color, because apparently black and white is frowned upon. Yeah,
I get it. I'd like to do, but it's like, how many issues is too many? Because I know they did those big chunky books at one point with, Invincible, where it's like, okay, we're putting, I don't know how many issues they put in those things. What? Not 50, like 48 issues?
Yeah. I think there was definitely one that long.
And
it's too much.
I mean, who's reading those things? They're so big. You have to sit them on a table. If you're sitting them on, trying to read them on the growler, they're going to dig a trench in your leg. It's like you're going to sit in bed and read that thing with that weight on your stomach. That's no good. There's just no good way to read some of these books. unless you're like, I'm going to put this out on the library table.
You put it on your lectern and you turn the pages.
I bought
With
that.
like this Spider-Man omnibus they did at my stuff. It's like, that seems like that's enough. That's a big.
Is that the Epic collection or is that one of the? Is that standalone?
No, the omnibus.
It was an omnibus.
Yeah, it's an omnibus. Yeah, they did one that was. I don't know how many pages. They don't even number the pages.
It's a ton, but it's pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah. Do they have like a chapter thing? Like,
I mean, it's all your Amazing Spider-Man and all your Spider-Man. And the additional older stuff.
Like, what's the name of the book? Like, what's it called?
It's called Spider-Man by David Michelinie and Erik Larsen. Spider-Man, and it says Spider-Man Omnibus.
Yep.
But I think if you look it up as Spider-Man by Michelinie and Larsen, I guess. The cover is the cover from Spider-Man 23. So it's like Spider-Man and Ghost Rider and Deathlock and the Hulk's hand. Reed's face. just his face is smashed over on the side.
Oh, yes, here we go. Yeah, it's a hardcover. This was a 888-page book.
888.
I like those omnibuses. I have those and all the Kirby ones. Those aren't too bad, but some of them are insane.
So,
I bought Eric, did you get the King Kirby, like that giant one?
Yeah. Who reads that?
Man, I opened it up twice and I'm like, I can't touch this anymore. It's just gonna like break or something.
With books with hardcovers that big, it's got the stitched spine, right? So it should lay pretty flat, right?
In theory.
Well, yeah.
That's a no.
Yeah,
there's just nowhere to lay it though.
It does, but it's just too goddamn big.
Yeah. It's like, I got to put this on the floor to read it. I don't want to lay on the floor and read. What am I going to do, clear off a whole tabletop? Like my whole dining room table?
What am I, an 8-year-old? You're an 8-year-old. I'll sit on the floor and read.
Yeah.
It's like, as an adult, it's like, nah, I'm a grown-up man. I'm not sitting on the floor reading my book. Spread out.
My back.
Yeah. So it's like this thing, 808. So that's what? That's like 44 issues approximately at 20 pages. I don't know. That's still that's a chunk.
Yeah, it's tipping the scales.
It's tipping the scales. It's a lot. Yeah. At what point does it become so unwieldy that it's just
17 issues? No,
useless?
37 issues, I think. Based on what I'm reading.
And you're saying the Invincible ones were like 48? Wow.
Yeah, but those are softback, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are softcover and they're big old bricks.
Yeah.
Wow.
Honestly, they do need to have a sewn spine, especially if you start, because the problem is those double page spreads. If you got a glued spine and you're way in the middle of the book,
it just eats them.
You just lose. You lose so much. I mean, the Savage Dragon archive books in black and white, some of those double page spreads are like, well, this is a mess. You can't read this.
It's unfortunate that
should have read the issues, bitches.
It is kind of why the comic book format is in some way superior, because it can lay flat and you can get those double page spreads that you just can't get in a graphic novel.
Yeah, plus you can do letters pages and backups and funnies and all this kind of wacky shit that you can't do otherwise. I mean, I like all that stuff.
Yeah. When we do our retro reviews of old issues of Dragon, one of my favorite parts of it is looking at the old ads and what was going on and what was coming out at that time. That's something you can't replicate either.
Yeah, and even now you get to the end of an issue and it's like, it's P.J. Holden drawing jungle action. All right, like, are we ever going to see Dragon again? Yeah, here he is fighting pygmies. Like,
How did that come about?
Yeah, how did
by
you get
the
in
way?
touch
'Cause
with
it
him?
Seems like an old.
people just contact me and be like, hey, if you ever need a backup, and it's like, all right.
Because PJ's a real pro. I've been following his career for like 20 years now, and because he does a lot of stuff in 2000 AD, that British anthology comic, and he's been in that for ages, and he's been one of my favorites for years. So it was really cool when he showed up in Dragon.
Yeah, it's just the guys will materialize and be like, hey, if you ever need anybody. And generally how I do it like a Make-A-Wish Foundation kind of thing, where I'm like, all right, what would be your wish list? What would you want to draw? If it were completely up to you, what characters would you want to appear in? And I will write a story for you. And
Did he actually pick Fiesel?
He picked Dragon. He just wanted to draw a traditional dragon. Did he pick Fiesel? God, if he picked Fiesel, that would be something.
What was beautiful is it really sort of fulfilled that, like when Dragon died, everybody was like, well, he can always appear in like backups and flashbacks. And then, goddamn, what a backup flashback it was. It just delivered.
Yeah, you
awesome.
can do that kind of stuff.
Is that I think it was issue 243, and I'm probably gonna butcher his name, but Kamil Kochansky. He did the Super Patriot. That guy was amazing. He reminded me of like Dennis Cowan, or some of that stuff he did with like Deathlock. When I saw that right away, I was like, wow, this guy is he a pro? Is he like, where did he come from?
Again, just some
random guy
who contacted me, and
he's got chops.
Yeah, I thought his stuff was really cool. I like his stuff a lot. Like,
that was a cool. That was a cool issue, and that was one thing I wanted to touch on that I didn't talk to you about. Is we were kind of laughing, but it's funny how hard how you write Super Patriot and Mighty Man's relationship. Like Super Patriot is really hard on a 9-year-old girl.
Yeah. Shake it off, kid. That's what we got.
Just murdered 100 demons. And,
you got this, Betty.
Snap out of it. And then, the other thing we saw that I wanted to touch on was you had posted a picture of, I think it was a splash page, featuring Captain Marvel for like that DC crossover that kind of fell through the cracks, but it looked like it almost happened. I think Liefeld and you and I don't know who else like from Image we're gonna do a crossover.
Yeah, they'd asked a few of us. And I was like, fuck, I'll do it. I don't care. I have characters I like over there. Sure. Put me down for some of that. And then it didn't. And then there was a lot of pushback within Image from people going, yeah, we shouldn't be giving DC a big book.
Push.
This big
Gotcha.
they're going to have, whatever.
It's true. In a way, they would get more of the rub than you guys probably would have.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Still would have been cool to see.
It still would have been
Captain
very
Marvel.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looked like we were going to get Gator and Maneater reappearance too on that page, which I'm kind of bummed about.
Oh, well. I'll just have to retool that as something.
Yeah, just put Captain
But
Tootsie
then
in
I saw the article with McFarlane kind of pushing out the idea of doing some kind of company crossover to kind of kickstart things after this whole pandemic. Has anything been mentioned to you, or?
He did call me, and we were just talking about just various things, but I haven't gotten anything super concrete as to what exactly. But it's tough because it's like, okay, well, when are people working on this? Are they working on this right now during this period?
Right.
When you're probably catching up on your own work.
yeah, it's like I'm finally getting able to pull ahead a little bit. This is all right for me. And they're like, oh, you guys should put out a bunch of stuff that's just digital during the pandemic. It's like, you know that stuff doesn't appear immediately, right? So we actually have to create those comics.
Yeah.
So by the time all those comics, made up those characters, created the storyline, drew those stories, by the time you get all that shit done, oh, look, they're opening up the stores again, and you're no farther ahead on your comic.
I got a suggestion. How about you guys surprise us by finishing up Image United? That would be something great.
That would be kind of hard.
Especially when Youngblood can't
that's true. That's true.
Erase all the bad rocks. Just leave a big space where they used to be.
Let's replace it with Prophet.
Legally impossible. That's the one thing to come out of that. Yeah, that's the one thing to come out of that whole debacle. I was like, well, at least that ends all the Image United questions.
Yeah, well, it's like, legally we can't do that, and so that's awesome. And we can't even collect the 3 issues that we did. I think.
God damn it.
Well, I will tell you, they're still available to buy on Comixology right now. They, unlike the rest of the Liefeld stuff, you can still buy those ones.
Maybe there's. I'm not sure how that. Yeah. I'm not sure how the legalities of it work, because as far as I'm concerned, that guy can reprint everything that has Savage Dragon in it. Whatever. Right. If he wants to sit there and go, well, I still want to put out this, that, or the other thing. I've got issues of Dragon that have Youngblood in it. It's like,
right.
I'm still going to reprint those things because whatever, I was the permission I was given was permission forever. So that doesn't end just because somebody bought this.
Right. Craig mentioned the McFarlane interview. And I basically wanted to just really quick ask. So Todd gives his Forbes a plan of attack where all 4 Image, Dark Horse, Marvel, DC make one announcement, do some digital issues, then have crossovers. What I was just going to ask is, imagine I wanted to basically hear your version. If you were God, you were in charge of everybody, what would be your singular plan of attack for things?
I don't have one.
Perfect.
So we all get our comics.
Just deal with my own shit.
The problem with all this ambitious shit is that people still have to do the goddamn work, and when you start dealing with, hey, Marvel and hey, DC, they're not fast and loose and easy. It's we got to bang out a contract for that shit.
Yeah.
It's like when we did the Dragon Superman thing, that was a contract that needed to be nailed down. I couldn't start just making that comic the next day when I was super excited about it. It was, we got to do this contract, and that's going to take a long time. And so they're sitting there going and getting this contract done, and 6 months later you're like, all right, you can finally start working on this comic now. And it's like, man, I was horny for that 6 months ago.
Yeah,
I don't get it anymore. And that's a problem, is you gotta hit people up when they're super excited to do stuff, because you lose that.
Right.
That go away. At various times I've wanted to do all kinds of stuff that I didn't do, and it's like, oh, we're going to get into this discussion and blah, blah, blah. When Dragon 222 was coming up, I was really wanting to get a Turtles crossover for that one.
Right.
So it's like, we did it in 2 and 22. How awesome would it be if he shows up in 222? It's like, oh, this would be cool. And then they're like, oh, we're doing a crossover with Batman at the same time, so we don't want to do that right now. But talk to us in a couple years. And it's like, Yeah, now I don't give a shit.
Yeah. Maybe for issue 2222.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, at this point, it's like, yeah, if the turtles never show up, I'd totally be fine with that. So, oh well. You gotta trap people while they're still enthusiastic about stuff. That's when they're most likely to get something done and do a good job with it.
Was there ever any mention with a Marvel crossover or anything?
No,
With
never
with Dragon.
Close.
No.
I mean, even when I was talking about doing the Marvel stuff, I was saying at one point, like, you know, how about we do stories where I mean, because there was that issue of Spider-Man team up where Robert just had Invincible crossover.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
That was pretty amazing.
And so I was like, why don't we just do that with Dragon? Like, I'll do one-shots of Savage Dragon meets the Hulk, Savage Dragon meets Spider-Man, Savage Dragon meets, and we'll just do like 6 of them, and then I would have 6 months worth of Marvel stuff. You guys could put out a Savage Dragon trade paperback that you own and could use forever, and my character could get a little bit more exposure. And they just were like, we're not having it. And it's like, and it's like, all right, we don't have to do this.
Killjoys, they fucked it up. That would have been great.
You know, I'll make that scene. I contacted DC about the same thing, and they're like, they weren't having it either. So it's like, you know what? I don't need you. I can continue to do my comic on my own. And I do. So it's like, all right, or I could not do anything for you ever. And that's like, that could work too.
It's weird because DC's really into crossovers right now with other companies. So,
well, you almost had it. I mean, it seemed like that at one point. The Superman Savage Dragon crossover is pretty excellent, though. I do enjoy the team they used on the DC side. I mean, there's a lot of times where I'm not the keenest on other teams. I don't know. But I just think that they did a great job and got a good feel for the character. I don't know how much input you had on that, but they got seemed like they got the proportions right. And
I pretty pick those guys.
Yeah.
Like, well, here's the dudes I'd have do it. All right. Excellent. You guys are great. So yeah, that worked out really well on my end.
So cool. You guys have anything else you want to hit on, or?
No, I think we covered everything.
Yeah,
Do we go over all these?
You got some stuff
I want to say real quick.
Oh,
just
Raven,
one thing.
Go for it.
And then you're done. The fin rip in 247.
Oh, forgot about that. I've been waiting.
First of all, how dare you? But second of all, we just wanted to say it is goddamn mind-blowing that you could be doing this book for 23 plus years and have some shit that has never happened.
Yeah.
I haven't really done that much Finn stuff when it comes down to it.
No.
It's like, is that thing rigid? Is it bendy? Is what?
Yeah, I think there was one panel where it kind of like bent when he was like sitting in a car or something, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Sometimes it gets a little ragged when he's in an explosion, but that's about it.
Yeah, but to get it torn completely off. We didn't really touch on 247, but the demon, what was he, the Demonoid King or
Demon
Prince?
King, yeah.
King, yeah. He's a pretty cool, like, it seemed like the demons are kind of generic, you know, and they come and go, but this one Demon Prince is pretty freaking badass.
Yeah,
I enjoyed his appearance.
Such a bitch to draw. This twisty thing.
They look awesome.
God. Yeah, I think next time I draw that guy, I gotta make like a little model of his head and twist those things just so that when I'm turning it around, I can get them at the right angle.
Yeah, they kind of get that inverted curve to them, right? So that's got to be a pain to keep straight every time.
They wrap around. I'm sitting and I drew the left-hand side, and it's like trying to draw the other side. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Which part's the front and which part's... God damn it.
Well, Malcolm did bust them off, so there's nothing saying they have to grow back.
Yeah, I figure they'll grow back, just like, Malcolm's got shit that grows back. So
it was an awesome tit for tat. Like, Malcolm broke the horns and then he ripped the goddamn fin out, and I was like, yes, it's never happened.
Well, we're all hoping next issue he's gonna look like Paul Dragon.
Yeah, that Paul Dragon look. That's the cool.
I do really enjoy the coloring, that Nikos, like the texture coloring that it seems like as of late. I don't know how many issues has been going on. Maybe it's going for a while, but the past 3 issues, it's really popped, like the different.
Yeah, we keep
kind of
trying
like
different
texture.
stuff. It'll be like, you try this approach for a couple issues. We were doing kind of a flat thing for a bunch of issues, and then just keep switching it up.
Yeah,
you just trying not to have it be so monotonous, and it just seems like, it's the same thing over and over and over. It's like, let's mess with this, have some fun with that. I like it.
Yeah, we've definitely been mentioning a lot, like the issue where Scourge dies when they're looking down the pit and stuff. Just the coloring of the skies, and I don't know. He's just been killing it on colors. It's been enjoyable, and Farron's lettering is still like that was the other thing we were talking about when we were reviewing the Captain America book. I feel like on Savage Dragon, you guys are able to nail the digital lettering so that it doesn't look like stickers on top of a page. Like, you guys have really, done a bang-up job making it look organic.
Yeah. And then you see that, and you're like, I didn't quite pull that off here, did they?
Yeah.
And they were kind of going, we're going to try and make it look like old school lettering. It's like, God, this is so far from old school lettering. You missed it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to start ragging on that. The coloring printed way darker than it looked when I was getting it sent to me in, as JPEGs. And when I saw it in print, it was like, holy shit, some of this is printing so dark, you can't even see that there was a background there.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's not good.
The underground stuff. Basically, I mean, everything else was okay, but the underground stuff was super saturated.
I haven't seen it in print, so I only know it with a backlight, and look fine to me.
Oh,
Jim?
okay, yeah. It looks all right on the screen when you have it as a in print thing. There were like 10 pages throughout that were like, oh man, that's too dark. That's not good.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite things, and you've been doing it a lot lately, is having like the foreground characters with like their mouths open and like teeth and tongues in like the corner of the page.
There was
fun.
a huge one right on the left-hand side. There was like,
and he colored it as part of the background. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's a weird shaped rock right there.
Yeah, but I love those. You've been doing those a lot, like Demonoids doing it and stuff like that. Like, it's so fun when those characters are like popping right out front like that. It's cool stuff.
I like it. Gives the page some depth. It just doesn't seem like everything's flat. I like that. I'm doing that right now. Damn it.
Very cool. Well, I think that's it. You guys have
done,
anything
dude.
else?
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna have to talk again after 250, which will hopefully not too far from now. But I mean,
hopefully not. I mean, I know it's a tough time because it's like we can't all just suddenly go outside as though it's fine now.
Yeah, it's going to be, until there's a vaccine, it's going to be rough. I mean, even if we do get to go back to our lives, probably 3 months later we'll be back inside again. for at least the next year and a half. It's going to be in waves, I feel. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, but the thing is, they have tests now. So what they should just do is just go, we're just going to test every fucking person on this planet or in this country.
Yeah.
We're just going to go and methodically test every person. If you've got it, you're quarantined. The rest of us can go out. And, and then we're just going to stifle it that way.
Yeah.
Because then 3 weeks, we're done. If you test everybody, but the problem is you've always got that one guy who's
my freedom. You
can't
take my
one
freedom.
Selfish person is that's what zombie movies teach us. We're always doomed by the one selfish person.
It's like everybody gets to be that one asshole who had the zombie bite and doesn't want to keep it from everybody. God damn it.
As somebody who's still working, I can tell you guys the sad truth is there are so goddamn many more than one asshole.
Oh, yeah. No, there's so many.
I've dealt with so many people.
Like I say, I'm looking out at a park right now, and there are people walking by and just jogging by each other as though, we're fine.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're 6 inches away from me. Get the fuck out of here.
I saw a guy sneeze right into an ATM and then just keep using it. I saw a guy chewing his goddamn nails. I saw a guy drop something on the sidewalk and pick it up and eat it. I mean, I've seen people they get
you're getting people pissed off at your work, right?
Yeah. Oh, they get the things that you ask them to do. Like we have the spots on the floors where you stand and you're 6 feet apart. They've been measured. I literally measured it. Everything's 6 feet apart. And you have people that actively are angry that you're asking them to do shit that is for their protection. Because if you think I'm exposed to shit tons of people all the time, if anything, I'm going to get you sick. But when you ask them to stand back, they're like, okay, buddy, I don't have it. And I'm like, I know.
It's just like the flu. Oh, man.
You just get sick, that's all. And I'm like, that's not all. There's mass graves in New York.
And it's not just about you.
Yeah, it's not you.
Anyway.
It's nuts.
It is.
Yeah.
I just fear for the comic shops and the industry if this thing lasts too long and
it's making
small
Dragon
business owners.
Weird. Is it because I'm drawing an issue where it's like, hey, it's the 250th issue and we're sheltering at home.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a minute, that's not cool.
Yeah.
But
can chosen one spread coronavirus?
What I'm gonna do is have the comic book guys, they're saying, okay, what do you got for your 250th issue? It's like, yeah, we're at home. I can't leave. And they're like, no.
Nice.
So,
did you have to cancel any conventions or anything that you had planned, or?
I hadn't committed to a bunch of conventions, so I really haven't. There were some that I was gonna go, where I was talking to them about going to Sacramento, and when it was getting close to the convention, at that point the COVID stuff was just starting to kick in, and my wife was going, "Yeah, I don't want you to go. I just don't want this happening." And so I was like, all right, I'm just gonna pull out on this thing and not, just let the people know, hey, I'm not going. And by the time the actual show rolled around, I don't think they even had it.
No, probably not.
We can't do this now. And now a bunch of them are getting canceled, and it's like, well, how are you going to do any of this stuff? You're going to have a New York Comic-Con this year? No, you're not.
No, right now isn't the Javits Center like a temporary hospital shelter or something? They've got all sorts of beds in there.
Yeah, the convention is in October or November, which is this is a long time from now.
That's true.
you're not going to have a vaccine by then.
No, you're not.
No.
So you're going to have crowds of people and no vaccine, and you're going to have people coming from all over the country.
Yeah, and everyone's shaking hands.
To crowd together in no space between anybody.
Yeah. I mean, that place, when it's full, that's elbow to asshole.
Yeah, well, and everybody's touching comics and flipping through, and
it's like the worst possible thing you can possibly do.
Yeah,
it's a super bummer. I mean, I hope we get some kind of fix for this, because it's going to really affect a lot of stuff.
If they could just come up with a treatment to drop the death rate, that would probably be enough. But as of now, there's nothing. You just got to avoid it.
But it's a bummer. You want to promote comics, and I'm sure with 250 around the corner, it'd be nice to do conventions and promote that you got 250, and it doesn't seem like that it's going to be possible.
Well, I don't know when stores are going to be open, or if stores will even be there by the time we get there.
Right.
How long can this happen?
Can they hold out? Yeah.
I mean, I guess people are being, I don't know. That's fucked up.
Yeah, the whole situation's messed up.
I mean, what are you doing? I'm paying rent on a space that I can't use. You're supposed to be providing me with a usable space. I can't even sell my wares here. So why am I paying rent for this? At the same time, you are taking up space.
Yeah, and that owner probably is paying a lease or something.
That's a mess.
Yep. And I just heard that the small business grant money is kind of dried up now, that they were giving out the interest free or whatever.
Yeah, they underestimated demand on it, I assume, so they didn't fund enough. So
good times.
Yeah. Uncertain.
Super happy, super fun, awesome ending.
Yeah, so on that note,
we're gonna
on that note, it's all go shoot.
This is life, man.
Goddamn, we're fucked. Anyway.
No. Anyway, that next mission looks like it'll be pretty cool. Yeah, so the real question becomes, okay, if this goes 6 months, do we all sit here and go, okay, we're just never going to put comics out? How many stores are going to be left if this goes 6 months?
Yeah, they'll have to be
big
consideration.
Ones, maybe.
But that's not. But would that be enough if your Mile Highs and your Midtowns are your only retail outlets? That is unworkable.
Yeah, that's unworkable. It's completely unworkable. But going, hey, let's just put out everything digitally. That's not so great either, because those numbers are not good.
I mean, if all the comic book stores went away, it might help boost them, but that's not.
I have a hunch that people would walk away too.
That's what I told. I had this argument with another creator, and I told him, I said, look, man, I said, you can't act like digital's the magic wand to fix the problem. I said, as a guy that's been doing webcomics for over 20 years, digital is not the magic bullet you think it is. If it was, it would have been already by now. Everyone in the world has a computer in their pocket in terms of their phone. It's not like they all just started magically reading digital comics. Like, print still matters.
Print still matters, and also that shit is so easily to pirate.
Yeah.
I can go on sites right now and read every Marvel comic ever published ever, and my comic and everything.
Right.
And it's like if a comic is $3.99 for a digital comic, which is heavily locked down and restricted, or I can go to this site and read it for free. Free is way better deal.
Right.
Yeah. I'm the fool who still pays for this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, once iTunes became super easy and super, and it was cheap, and it was like, all right, 99 cents. I guess I'm not going to go chasing all over creation for this thing that I can get for 99 cents. That
a much better quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's much better quality and whatever. But comics, it's like, this is the exact same thing. There is no difference.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I say there's still going to be the collectors that want the issues and want, I mean,
Yeah.
what are you going to have to sign at a convention? A tablet?
I mean, to
Raven's
some
chest.
extent, it'll be vinyl early on because there's always those weirdos who still like their vinyl, and then suddenly it's like, oh, now there's a resurgence of vinyl because a bunch of people are going, yeah, I guess this shit really did sound better. And there is something aesthetically pleasing about taking out a record, the ritualness of it, And
It's just, the feeling is it's not throwaway. Like you got to take time with it and enjoy it, like almost like a physical thing.
We'll get there with comics, where it's like I like the physicality of a printed comic book. So are we going to suddenly have those at conventions where you'll go to a conventions? Like I haven't seen a comic book now in months, but I go to a convention and there's Todd McFarlane with the last 6 issues in print, and I can buy them all as this nice set and just get all the back issues I've been missing.
Yeah.
Maybe so. Maybe print is, we just bring our print with us as you would bring anything else. And that becomes this thing.
It fucking blows for those of us who have the existing ritual of going out to the comic shop, browsing the physical shelves. I've been exposed to so many things walking through the shop that I had no fucking clue existed until I laid eyes on them. I found some of my favorite books.
Yeah. Or the store owner going, I read all this stuff. I got it the day before. I've been reading all night. These are the books that are awesome, and you totally got to check this thing out.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well.
it's
you just gotta go. How long can we wait this thing out? I just don't know.
Yeah, it's like bizarro. It's so strange.
Yes, it's more than once in a lifetime. This is unprecedented. It's hard to even predict what's going to happen because this just has never happened before.
Well, it's been a good 100 years,
right? Right. But that was 100 years ago, and
these things rip through communities. But the thing is, now we've got people able to travel the world. We weren't able to do that 100 years ago.
Well, that's great. I was in Hong Kong and Tokyo in January, right while this was happening in China, and had no idea.
I was thinking you might have been to blame for this.
I thought so. You should have died.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, people just move around so fast now that it just goes so quickly. 100 years ago, we wouldn't know if this was ravaging China. Now it's like, a month later, here it comes.
Yeah. And there we are. It's like this stuff then it would have spread in waves. It's like, okay, China is done with this. And now it's coming over with some asshole on a boat. God damn it.
Yeah.
I want to see the new world. Oh well, you just like I just don't know how long this is going to be, what it's going to take. So there's a lot of uncertainty, but I'm still making comics. So
goddamn right.
And that's not going to stop. That's just going to be my daily ritual from here on out. And at some point, these will be in print.
Sweet. Well, we'll be here waiting for them.
Yeah, we'll be there, man. You've got us. We're waiting.
All right.
Well, thanks for joining us, Erik. I really appreciate your time. You've always been great to us. And
talking to you guys again.
And we'll hit you up when 250 comes out and talk about that sense-shattering issue.
All right. Look forward to that.
All right, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay safe. Stay healthy.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. We'll do. Okay, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.